welcome to Talking Live. April is a month of hope. At least that's what our guest says. She is the author of As Long as You Can Breathe It, There Is Still Hope. And I love that idea. She's going to tell us where this idea came from. Dr. Rosalind Tompkins is both the author and founder of Mothers in Crisis, MIC, yes. Correct?
Yes.
And you have this whole movement of hope, which I was so drawn to. How did April become National Hope Month?
Well, Mothers in Crisis, the organization that I'm founder and president of, we applied through the National Day calendar for the whole month, instead of just one day, but for the whole month of April to become our National Hope Month or National Month of Hope. And we received it. We received the designation, and that was back in 2018. And so we've been celebrating it every April since then, and really just trying to get the message out there so people know that we have a whole month to celebrate hope.
I love it. Hope is so important. It's so important to our mental health, yet we don't really talk about it that much in the mental health community. Why do you think that is?
Well, I just believe that hope is one of those secret power sources that I call it, a force that somehow it's not looked at as something that is legitimate, because sometimes people will say that you can't just wish your way. But what we're talking about in hope is not about wishful thinking or Pollyanna thinking, but it's about having a real expectation that things are going to get better. And when you can give that to people, you can give them another day, because hope is future oriented.
True. It is very true. This name and title came to you from a particular circumstance that came from your life, and your life was challenging. You were a teenage mother, you struggled with drug addiction, and yet came out the other side. So part of this feeling of the importance of hope and sharing hope comes from your own personal story.
Yes, it does. And just a slight correction. I wasn't a teenage mother, but I was a single mother.
Oh, why did I get the impression teenage mother? Okay, let's just revise that. You were a single mother.
I was. Go ahead. Well, it's all about the journey to hope came through my addiction, because I call it the hellhole of addiction. It was a 12-year addiction where I started using marijuana at the age of 12.
And maybe that's where I got it from. You were kind of a preteen addicted, and maybe that's where it came from.
Yes,
but
yes.
It started very early, which means that you were trying to medicate the pain of your life away.
Yes. There were some tough things that I had gone through as a child. And a lot of things that happen in our lives, especially as girl children or whatever, we don't have a way to process it. We don't have a way to really deal with it. And then culturally, there's not a way to really verbalize some of the things that you've gone through or things that you feel. And so whenever I started using drugs, it just kind of, all was right with the world. And, but of course it ended up becoming a full-blown addiction. And when I wanted to stop, I couldn't. And that's where this power of hope comes in, because I believe that when I look at it, it's by the grace of God that I was able to make it through so many horrendous situations that I talk about in the book. As long as there's breath in your body, there's still hope. But on the other side of it, I say, you know what? It was hope. It was the power of hope that kept me pushing forward. And even when I didn't have it, my mother had it for me, and she never gave up on me. So
that is so powerful to have a parent believe in you and to have high expectations on your behalf. Mm-hmm. That is a voice that will live in a person's head and can be a guiding light when
Mhm.
times are dark. I'm so glad you had that kind of mother.
Yes, yes, I thank God. May she rest in peace now. But it was just that force that she always believed. This is not my baby girl. I did not raise my baby girl like this. And she had faith and she had hope for a better day, that I would get better. And by the grace of God, I did.
Where do you think that idea came from, uh, in terms of your mother? Because mothering is so powerful, and very often mothers, as you know, working with single mothers, it's easy to get frustrated, even if you are not a single mother. Just being a mother in general is challenging, and it's
Yes.
sometimes hard to believe in a better moment for your child when there's no evidence of that.
Well, it came back to faith, because she really had a strong foundation in the African Methodist Episcopal Church.
Mm.
And where she used to send me a lot of times, even if she didn't take me. And when she kind of fell back on her faith, there are three of the three powerful forces: faith, hope, and love. And they all kind of work together. We know the greatest is love. So all of those forces were in operation or active when it came to my mother, although she did suffer because of my addiction. She did suffer.
It's very painful to experience that. And as I was going through your book, which is just truly inspiring, for anyone who wants to believe in better days, and
Yes.
now you're an author, and you are a doctor, and you have created foundations. I mean, you truly have just empowered yourself to also empower others. But there's an anachronism for hope that you have in your 8th chapter.
Yes.
I highlighted it because I loved it so much. Hope is hoping others practice empowerment.
Yes.
Tell me more about that and how that works in your life.
Well, one of the things that about this hope that we're talking about is hope in action. It is active. So when it comes to helping others practice empowerment, what we're talking about is, once you receive hope, you empower. You don't just inspire, but now you're empowered to look for other solutions. You're empowered to get up from wherever you've landed. You're empowered to continue to move forward. So that's why that acronym that we came up with for Mothers in Crisis, because we really believe in that whole process, that it has to be an empowerment process when we're talking about hope.
I agree with you so much, because I have like multiple jobs. And one of my jobs is to be a psychotherapist, and I've been doing it for over 20 years. And that's part of the process of therapy, is really helping somebody see the possibilities in their lives in a way that they're not able to do on their own. And, once you see that through, you get a front row seat to people making really powerful changes in their lives. And it's so amazing to be part of their process of growing better and stronger, and being able to take that into the world in whatever way they need to. You talk about the hashtag Hope Challenge, which you are encouraging everybody to embrace. What is the Hope Challenge?
Well, the Hope Challenge is, first of all, for individuals to become more hopeful themselves. Okay, because you can't give what you don't have. So we have the process of training your brain to think hope, and ways that you can do that through taking hope breaks, through just beginning that whole process of not, as they say, looking at the glass half empty, but begin to see it as half full, begin to see the possibilities. And so once you so that is a challenge for you to personally become a more hopeful person. And then the second part of it then is to spread that hope by making hope connections, by having hope chats with others, because you never know what someone may be going through. And we know that there has been a crisis in the United States, even before the pandemic, with the suicide rate rising. And so when you start seeing a generation of people from young, and it was across all the age groups.
Yeah.
And when you start seeing that, then you realize that there's a hope crisis, because people are to the point that they feel like, you know what, it's no need, it's no use even living anymore. So they take their own lives. So with these hope chats, making these hope connections, we're finding that it's a powerful way, and very simple, but a very powerful way to help someone that may be going through some tough times.
Yes, I agree. And you also talk about just different ways that we as individuals can develop a sense of hopefulness. Because let's face it, even if you are a positive, optimistic person, there are moments, especially now during the pandemic, even though we're coming out the other side, you know, there were side effects to this pandemic. Yes. There was job loss, financial stressors, isolation. And it's hard sometimes to be able to find the hope sometimes within ourselves, but you give a strategy that can be helpful to reconnect us to that important feeling we need to have.
Yes. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have on my hope break ring. And you know, the concept of tying a string around your finger to remember.
Yes.
Well, we have these hope break rings, and we wear them to remind ourselves to take hope breaks, because hope breaks they have to be intentional. And I remember when I first started the process and was sharing it with the others, you know, that are part of this whole great movement of hope. I had to set my phone to alarm, because it just wasn't you get so busy and you go through life, especially before the pandemic. But when you have a hope break, first of all, it has to be intentional. You have to schedule a little hope into your life. And then the second step is to find a quiet place that you can go off by yourself. And then the third step is then to just breathe, take those deep breaths. And then the fourth thing is to begin to think about the best case scenario and not the worst case scenario.
I love that idea. I thought that was such a powerful point, because very easy, our brain goes to the negative. There is a negative bias when it comes to our brains. It's designed to be self-protective, but unfortunately, what it ends up doing is it can create a downward emotional cycle. And this is a skill set that we can deliberately introduce that can really be habit changing.
Yes, because, I'm no, psychiatrist or this is
but
about.
You could be. That's the point. You could be.
Well, thank you. But this is about self-help. This is about that empowerment piece of just giving people, tools of something that they can do. Of course, you need to seek professional help, and you need to see a counselor or some other type of, physician. We definitely encourage that, because we know that there's some things that are biochemical and a lot of other things, clinical depression and things that make this difficult. But we're just saying that in general, these are practices that can make you feel better. And studies show that hopeful people have better qualities of life and they live longer.
Yes, because they're always looking for the possibilities. So when your brain is willing to consider the possibilities and hopeful possibilities, you end up thinking in more creative ways and tend to live longer and be more successful if you can incorporate that into your life.
Yes.
What kind of impact have you been seeing on a local level as a result of the Hope Challenge?
Well, one of the things that we're doing right now that's so exciting, and I have these stress balls, and my assistant's going to bring me one. But we have this campaign called Balls for Hope, And this is on a local level, but we've sent them all over the world, including Pakistan, because Pakistan is celebrating their National Month of Hope this year for the first time. But in our Balls for Hope campaign, this is one of the ways that we're asking people, instead of grinding your teeth, because what we're finding now, and you've probably heard about this, that during the pandemic and even up until now, people have begun to grind their teeth. And the dentist, they go in and they see chips on their teeth. And a lot of times people don't even realize the stress that they're under. So with our Ball for Hope campaign, what we say is take this ball, squeeze it whenever you're feeling stress, and begin to, it says on here, think hope, and then use it as a part of your hope break. And I'm telling you, we have people from all over the place. I just got an email today from someone from South Africa saying, send me a ball. And I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. We can't do that. But people,
I love this whole hope balls and hope rings, and maybe we could have like hope t-shirts or something.
Yes.
I see this as like, because it really is true. Even the power of word. Mm-hmm. If you see a word that is empowering, it impacts how we experience ourselves and the world. So just even seeing the word, having it up around you, I just think that hope is something you can never get enough of. There's never a downside to being hopeful.
Exactly. And when you said that about seeing the word, also saying it, which that is the next step in your hope break. Once you begin to think more hopeful and you think about the best case scenario, then you make an affirmation. So instead of saying what sometimes we normally would say, well, it's never going to happen. I'm going to always be this way. Or you're looking for a job. I've seen this. I've seen this play out in people's lives. You're looking for a job. You've been everywhere you've gone. You're not hiring. They don't need you. And then you start thinking, oh, I'm never going to get hired. But during your hope break, you begin to see yourself, you know what? I'm going to get that job. I'm going to get that promotion. And you see it, and then you say it. See, words are powerful, but the power is released when you open your mouth and say it.
Yes.
Make affirmation.
It's called reinforcement.
Exactly.
Right?
You gotta hear it yourself.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Well, I really hope that everyone gets your book. As long as there's breath, there is still hope. Tell us again how you got this title, because it's about your faith and your personal story that you came up with this.
Yes. It's so powerful. I trademarked as long as there's breath in your body, there is hope. A couple of decades ago, whenever I first started Mothers in Crisis. And over the years, we're celebrating 30 years this year. Over the years, we've helped thousands of women and families, experience this power of hope and get clean and all of that. But in the beginning years, as a social worker, working in the field, going out, trying to, help the women, having support groups and things like that, I got tired. I was tired. Yeah. I was a single parent, young adult, but single parent. And I had a baby girl I had to take care of. So I'll never forget, one night I was just crying. I was praying and I was crying. And I was like, you know what? I can't keep doing this. Mm-hmm. And then I heard, it just came inside of me. Remember, Rosalind, as long as there's breath in their bodies, there is hope. And I was like, it just automatically lifted. And I was like, yeah. So it just, I can't explain it, but it just took it off of me.
That was like a divine moment is what I would call it. And especially, when you're working with certain populations, either the drug addicted populations or single mothers, you can absorb their own feelings of hopelessness about themselves.
Yes.
And if that isn't properly understood, it's easy to give up on people, right? Because they've given up on themselves. You get that feeling that they're hopeless, and then it's two people giving up, right? But if you understand working with hopeless people induces a sense of hopelessness, and your job is to understand you're feeling the way they feel about themselves. and where do you take it from there? That's a powerful shift. And it sounds like that's what you've dedicated your life work to.
Yes.
And we are going to have links up so everyone can find your fabulous book and learn about your inspirational story and about all of the different foundations that you are heading up and how people can join the Hope Challenge. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. People can go to makeahopeconnection.com. They can also purchase a book on Amazon and also Audible. All the proceeds go to Mothers in Crisis, goes into the organization Mothers in Crisis. And I just want to say thank you for having me here. My hope has been lifted, and I hope that's what happened to you.
You are just a pleasure. You are an inspiration. Keep spreading your message, Dr. Rosalind Tompkins. We adore you. Hopefully you'll come back.
Absolutely.
And we're excited to share your story and information.
Thank you.